that have been developed over the revolution decide, well, a united world nation is the best way to achieve the truth in communism, thus destroying cultures and nationalities till one group is created for equality to create a classless society. And well, erase all for a horizontal power structure, they believe. Yet some communes want to use a multi-aligned nations believing class is a bigger problem, thus than nationalities. They claim creating a single culture is vanguardist and fascist in general. The belief to unite the class to lead to communism. While the North American Commune and Eastern Europe Commune supports the class being the problem, while the East Asian and South Asian communes see culture as a bigger problem. Both have the same goal, just two different ways. A skirmish happens, then the culture annihilators declare war on the class annihilators. Well, please subscribe, and well, thus aligning with the Siberian Commune, the African Commune, and the Middle Eastern Commune, the ones who want to go to one culture, is kind of powerful. But yet the North American Commune, South American Commune, Baltic Commune, Eastern Europe Commune, Russian Commune, Northern Europe Commune, Western Europe Commune, Southeast Asian Commune, Kazakhstan Commune, and Oceania's Commune. Well, let's see how this war goes. But at this point, nobody crosses the Bering Strait. But they could easily Southeast Asia. Quickly, the Vanguardist areas decide to start advancing, as it's considered impractical by the other nations, but they lose quickly in Southeast Asia, quickly losing control over the Southeast Asian Commune area that's in Asia, and then they invade the Philippines, which is part of this commune. Quickly doing that as they move into Sumatra. And then they move into Java. Quickly, this is what this front looks like. So at the Balkan front, you can see how that goes. It doesn't go very well, demolishing a few of the Balkan nations. Not really, because, well, it's a big federation. While in the Central Asian Commune, well, it's not going very well. They're collapsing rapidly. And then they fully collapse eventually as they start moving into the Caucasus to try to take out the, well, communes here. The Russian Commune, well, the Eastern Europe Commune, because there's two Eastern Europe communes. And they move into Spain, moving north rapidly. Which gives time for nations that aren't in any of the communes. They're still free, like Nicaragua, Honduras, or Switzerland, or Cyprus, time to prepare for when it gets to them. With Italy getting invaded, so Western Europe Federation. As the Balkan Federation, they go north. As they eventually manage to land in Crimea, thus connecting their front, securing the Black Sea, and moving towards Moscow, which becomes a big victory. But they want to take Berlin, and Brussels, and Paris, and Warsaw to force them out of the war. With them managing to take Berlin, but on the road to Paris, from the north they get stuck, from the south they get stuck. And well, it didn't go well, so they move in on taking Warsaw, which kinda shows benefit. But as you can see, as the commune here says, you can sign off because clearly you're not going to be able to prove this, because you're losing on every front, as it becomes very apparent as they win in Borneo, which is a major defeat a major defeat. Becomes the biggest embarrassment of the war, they say. Because they get completely demolished. And then, well, in Europe, they managed to push into Brussels and Paris. But at Paris, they suffer their first major defeat. As they're about to move into Paris to take the city, they encircle it. After a few days, looks like they'll probably capture it. But what they didn't expect was a big push from the south into what would be Luxembourg and into Brussels, retaking this area, thus making the supply for these allies impossible for the vanguardist communists, for the, well, more so libertarians in this ideology. As an encirclement is made, and then Moscow is retaken by, and then a big pushback in Russia and Ukraine, right to the border, well, Black Sea. But it's a big defeat, and it's kind of embarrassing for the wannabe dictator alliance, as forces from the North American and South American march into Spain to take multiple areas. As from France, they move down. As the Western European aligned area is doing really well. As the Balkan and Eastern Europe managed to make a large march into the Balkans, taking cities like Sofia, Bucharest, Pristina, Sarajevo, and then they move in, they manage to take Belgrade, then into Zagreb, thus moving into Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Oldenburg, Hamburg, and a bunch of German cities such as Frankfurt. And then in Warsaw, they take Gdansk, they take Poznan, they manage to retake Krakow, more cities. They manage to take Brno, Prague, Nuremberg, and Munich, as now they push in to kick this alliance out of, well, Germany. And with the wannabe dictator alliance becoming less and less communist and more vanguardist, end up being invaded and losing in the island they took and said you should negotiate to their opponents. Well, I guess maybe that didn't age well for them. It didn't go well. So now let's re-liberate the Philippines. They re-liberate it. They re-liberate Java. But for this front, let's move back to the other front, main front. As from Strasbourg, they're pushed out deeply as they lose Sluzhania. And Venice, then Turin, Milan. Then they move in, losing Rome, thus getting pushed out of the Italian peninsula as they take this. Well, they manage to push the Middle Eastern Commune out of their area, believing a unified one state is not that great. And while the Middle Eastern one then loses Istanbul, then loses Ankara, as it starts losing access to Anatolia. Thus, they move in down towards Beirut, Damascus, Tel Aviv, and a bunch of others. And then they move into Cairo and Alexandria, getting a foothold in Africa. Thus, they move to take Baghdad, Aleppo, Mosul, multiple cities, with them thus forcing the exit of one big area, as they manage to push them out of the Caucasus. And well, with this becomes the second major defeat. As they start taking over and moving in, thus they then manage to move all the way to Tehran, and then they move to what would be Kuwait, and then they move down to Doha, and thus they're destroying the Middle Eastern, commune, which is eventually forced into surrender because of how embarrassing it is. Getting pushed out of here, Thus, in Central Asia, they come with a similar one as they quickly move in to take Astana, quickly demolishing supply lines. From the Iranian front, they move pretty fast to the north to link up, going through the capital of what would be Turkmenistan before it became part of this commune. Yeah. And then they managed to have this be the front, but thus, using this to capture major areas by moving in by Asmara and what would be the Eritrea part. They managed to move in. Thus, they moved down to take Djibouti's area out, thus securing the Strait of Bab el-Man as they move into Addis. With this, they then land in Lagos, moving across what would be Nigeria in the north, managing to take places like Niamey and other areas. And while they also take Accra and a few other areas as they move into the Cape to take Johannesburg, thus moving north to take more major cities. As they manage to have four major footprints here, as they thus then move in to take Rabat, Casablanca, and a few other areas, as they thus move in to take Tunis and Algiers, with them then taking whatever the city is, and Libya's capital, Tripoli. Eventually, their wins in this front become so much that, well, they start moving near Kampala, as they thus manage to launch a big front, which gets them to Goma, and then they land around Kinshasa and then Brazzaville, taking more major cities, as they then take Luandaville, Woodhoek, Moshadishkida, and then they move up to Khartoum. And while down the Nile they go from Cairo, meeting the Khartoum where it splits into the Blue Nile and White Nile. Thus they move in, quickly defeating. As a statement from the leadership says, you can surrender the African nation as your ideas do not lead to the goal we both have of our classless, moneyless, stateless society, that we all have a goal to do, and your view is borderline fascist, so you're better off surrendering to keep our movement. They basically refuse, but yeah, they're not in a good position to refuse, as they completely demolish them by, I guess, now taking Harare, a few other cities, as they move into Kenya's capital. I actually meant Kenya's capital and Tanzania's capital, as they move in to start taking the coast. As across the coast, they completely manage to have it go from, they have it from the Cape to West Africa, which they then use to move up along the coast to connect with North Africa and Morocco, and then they move across the northern coast to connect their fronts across North Africa. And then thus they move in to capture the Horn of Africa. At this point, they then move in to take out Madagascar. Thus, after months of bad supply, the dictatorship wannabe in the African Commune collapses. Thus, the American Commune, North American and South American, decide to land in Siberia, as they quickly move in to take multiple areas, including, well, a few. And they also managed to take out Japan somehow. I don't know how. They also managed to take out Taiwan, which is a big victory. But at this point, the Siberian, commune is becoming very weak. But due to its importance for resources, they supply it because, it's full of resources. As they move in to take Yakutsk in Siberia. And for India, they managed to take out Sri Lanka. Then they move in to take Kerala, which is a very great state in India. And thus they then move in to take Karachi and they start moving around, thus securing what would be Afghanistan, and then they move in, quickly taking Islamabad and then moving in to take Delhi. Thus they take Mumbai, Dhaka, and then they take out a few other areas. And then this area falls, thus the Indian, South Asian Commune collapses. And while Siberia, now they have 3 fronts on the East Asian Commune. As the secure lands, they withdraw to lands that are more suitable to defend, which basically pulls them out of a lot of areas as more are invaded and demolished from the north to south as they move north, thus with the goal not of overthrows or subjugation, but as a way to enforce that across the globe one view is kept commonly, as it's just the East Asian Commune left as they lose Korea, which is a big loss for them, but they also lose more islands. Thus, as they break through into Tibet, the main defense left, and they move down here into Korea, thus preventing more, leading to it becoming a siege of the leader of the vanguard, basically, as they take southern China, and then they move into Xinjiang. Then they manage to take out the areas around Mongolia, like Ulaanbaatar, and more lands, thus creating the communes all to be working towards a common goal through a common way of not demolishing everything in effect, which see the class as a problem being victorious in the second revolution. The revolution that was to set the anti-vanguard way to workers' liberation. The classless, stateless, and moneyless society, by keeping the individual present, can prevent failure through creating unintentionally a new 1%. Without doing that, well, if you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts and theories. Also, click the notification bell to not miss Alternate Future of the World Part 13. Click one of the videos that's appearing at the top of the screen now. And also, well, that's all for today's video. Wild Mapper